Rev up your engines!
I saw an ad, let me tell you. Don't listen to the crap that people throw out. Look at this. Castrol, 25,000 mile oil changes. New, stronger, up to 25,000 miles of ultimate wear protection. It's Castrol. I like Castrol. I use Castrol. But there's no way I'm going to change my oil every 25,000 miles. It's going to get dirty. Bad things are going to happen, right? These companies are getting this nonsense out there, and some people are going to believe this, right? And they're going to change their oil every 25,000 miles. And when their car's got 100,000 miles and they got a massive oil burner, they're going to wonder, golly gee, what went wrong? Well, what went wrong was the oil had too much dirt. Dirt is friction, and it wore out the piston rings. It's kind of disgusting that they have stuff like that. What does it always say? Up to. What does that mean? Well, your engine might blow up when you make it to 24,999, but what the heck? This fantasy stuff that people throw out, and it's really dangerous because there's so many people out there now that are told, well, yeah, your car's transmission has lifetime fluid. You never need to change it, right? So they don't change it, and then they get 100-something thousand miles and the tranny breaks. The warranty is usually for 50, 60,000 miles. They don't care what happens after the warranty, right? And these companies that say, we guarantee this, check through what these companies have ever done. If people are using their oil and then people's engines blow up, check to see if they've ever even actually put a new engine in for somebody, because they're not going to say it was the oil. They'd say it was something else. It happened to a customer of mine. And he went in and he said it wasn't Castrol, it was a different company, right? They said, okay, my engine's ruined, and they just made other excuses. Oh, yeah, no, it wasn't our oil that did it, right? We analyzed the samples. No, it's not our oil, it's something else. Don't listen to any of these crappy advertisements that are promising you these things, because when they promise stuff like that, you know that it's a fantasy. If it looks too good to be true, normally it is, and in this case, it's really bad if you change your oil every 25,000 miles, regardless of what kind of oil you're using. Well, here's a hilarious one. Don't say I didn't warn people, but now Toyota dealers are refusing Toyota Tundra trade-ins over the twin-turbo V6 recall. They got a problem with metal pieces are inside the engines, destroying the engines. So now even the dealers aren't taking the Toyota Tundra twin-turbo V6s in on trade-ins because they don't want to deal with it. It's like hot potato. You got the hot potato, it's yours now, right? The funny thing is, I laugh and they said, Toyota's still working on a solution. Well, here's the problem. What seems to have happened is, when they built the Toyota twin-turbo V6 engines, they didn't clean the insides of the engines correctly before they put them together. There were various pieces of metal left inside the engine. And when they finished putting them together, these metal pieces are in the engine. The last thing you want are small metal pieces in an engine. They'll flow through all the engine, and all those metal pieces will start destroying pieces of the engine. Now, the first thing they'll destroy is the bearings, like the crank bearings on the bottom of the engine that hold the piston shafts that go up and down. They spin. They're soft. And the metal will eat those up. Well, eat them up, goodbye engine. Your pistons will flow through the side of the engine. But that's only the first thing that happens. The metal's going throughout the engine. It will destroy the whole engine eventually and wear it out. The only recourse Toyota would have would be to replace all those engines, which, of course, they're probably never going to do because it would cost them too much money. They came up with a dumb idea, V6 twin turbo instead of a V8, which was dumb enough. But then they didn't make them right. Now, even I didn't foresee this. I just thought, well, they'll wear out somewhat faster because they're twin turbos and they're V6s instead of a V8. I didn't realize that Toyota was going to screw up making them and leave metal pieces. That made the whole thing even worse, because with the extra pressure of the turbos, it strains the engine even more, and the metal's going to destroy things even faster, right? Some owners who made warranty claims had their engines disassembled. Photos and videos of the process show hundreds of components sprawled across mechanics' workspaces, taking time and effort to fix the engines. Well, as I said, once there's metal in an engine, if Toyota wants to take these engines apart to see all the damage they've done, that's fine. But they're pretty much irreparable. There's too much damage done to the engine in all kinds of parts. You would have to replace every stinking engine that had metal in it because, they took the engine out, but the damage would have already been done. There's parts inside the engine that are already slightly worn, and so they're going to wear out faster. It reminds me of years ago, I went to a Toyota dealer to check out a Toyota dealer-approved used Toyota, right? And they said, oh, this has all been checked by us. And I checked dipstick, and it was low on oil. And the oil that was in it was filthy, right? So the dealership said, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to change the oil. I said, it's too late now. It burns oil. It's low on oil, and the engine's been worn. I'm telling the customer, don't buy the car. It wasn't taken care of. It burns oil now. The engine's got damage. As time goes on, it's going to wear the engine out. Now, it might take years for it to finally blow the engine, but an engine that might have gone 20 years, maybe it'll only go 7 years now. Same thing. You got pieces of metal in it. It's going to destroy the engine. They need to replace all these engines. Of course, they're cowering on that one. It'll cost them a fortune. Now, how are they going to make all these engines? The engines they're making are going in brand new cars. Toyota does not make excess engines. You can't go out and buy a brand new Toyota engine. They don't allow that. They don't make them. So what's Toyota going to do? They'd have to make all these new engines. And while they're making these engines, they couldn't make engines for the new cars because they don't have the production facility for it. So bad news all around for Toyota owners. Well, I'm laughing at this one. Ford ends their EV dealership program that required hefty investment to sell electric models. They were telling their Ford dealers, hey, you got to spend all this money and train your mechanics and buy the tools to do EVs. And it could be upwards to $1 million per dealer. And they're saying, you got to do this if you want to sell electric vehicles that we make. Well, guess what? They're turning tails now. Originally, the EV certified program was announced September 2022. But now, a bit slower than expected electric vehicle sales, maybe slower than expected for them, but not for me. Ford will open EV sales to all of its dealers. Guess what? I talked to guys at dealers. They don't want these cars. They can't sell them. People don't want to buy them. What most people don't understand is the dealerships themselves are just sales outlets. They don't even own the cars on the lot. They're paying notes from a bank. The bank's loaning money. Then for each car, they got to pay at the end of the month, or whenever the payment is due. You can make whatever date you want. Once a month, they got to pay for that car to pay the note to the bank. They don't want them sitting on their lot. If they sit for 4 months, they just made 4 payments and they lost that money themselves. So they don't want cars that don't sell on their lots. And now Ford's saying, well, you don't have to do the $1 million. Please sell our EVs, right? The people that I know at these dealerships, they're not interested in selling electric cars because, hey, they know they don't sell. And let's say these guys aren't certified, right? And they don't have the equipment, but they're selling electric cars. Good luck when your electric Ford breaks. You take it to the dealer. Well, we're not certified to work on electric cars. We sold you the car, but too bad. Figure out how to fix it yourself. This electric car fiasco has just begun, and I'm laughing my rear end off. Hacker2090 says, Scotty, what do you think of the Chevy Malibu 2015 to 2022? They seem to be priced lower than similar sedans from other brands. Yeah, they're priced lower because they're pieces of junk. That's why they're priced lower. You can get Audis real cheap used because they're endless money pits, right? They weren't well-made cars. And as they age, they start falling apart, so the price goes down. They're priced lower because they're junk. Like the other day, a guy came talking about Audis. He says, man, I found like 15 Audis around me, really dirt cheap. And I said, yeah, guess why? Because they're junky cars that are endless money pits. And that's why you can find them cheap. The word has gotten around. Those are junky cars. Don't buy one of those cars. Same thing with a Malibu. They're not quite as bad as the Audis, but they still are not well-made cars, and they do not hold up over time. Well, here we go again. The government subsidizing rich people. More than $1 billion in EV tax credits have been issued up front, says the IRS and the Treasury Department. So there's $1 billion going to rich people for buying electric cars. They're the only people that can afford them anyways, right? And this $1 billion has been issued up front. They're whining that they don't have enough money to pay for stuff. Yet they're giving tax credits to rich people to buy electric cars. Of course, we all know many of the rich people never pay any taxes, right? Big corporations, they don't pay taxes. They have really good accountants and they know how to hide their money, right? Now, these credits that are $7,500 or $4,000 were previously only available when they filed their annual tax returns. But now the credits are instant. Previously, you had to wait until you filed your income tax, but now Americans can get their EV tax credit up front, regardless of their federal tax liability. And that wasn't the case prior to 2024. This is a new thing that's kicking in 2024, right? There goes money that the government doesn't have, giving to people who really don't need it. They're buying electric cars. So obviously, they don't have much common sense either. Well, if you want to make sure your car isn't stolen, maybe get a manual transmission. As a thief in Canada found out. It turns out that a 27-year-old man in Winnipeg specifically attempted to steal a car that was owned by an off-duty policeman. But when he got in it, he found out it was a manual transmission. He didn't know how to drive it. And hilariously enough, the same guy, he was released from police custody 20 minutes before he jumped in the off-duty policeman's car and tried to steal it. Now, the guy obviously is a bit on the loony side. He was walking down the street And he waved at a motorist, said, I'm in distress, I'm in distress. Well, the motorist happened to be an off-duty policeman. So then the guy comes in and he tries to beat up the policeman and steal his car, but he finds out he can't drive a stick shift. Now this guy was over 6 feet tall and he weighed 260 pounds. He overpowered the first policeman, but since he couldn't drive the car, he tried running away, and there were other off-duty policemen, since he wasn't that far from the police station where he had just been let loose. Maybe they shouldn't have let him loose, you know? All because he couldn't drive a manual transmission car. Who knows how far he would have gotten if he could have done that. So, you don't want your car stolen, get a manual. Most people look at it, oh, it's a manual. I can't drive that. I'm not going to steal it. I'll go steal that one over there. It's an automatic. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.